Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is CloudStalker and it has been about a month since Helldivers 2 released. It's been able to pull quite a bit of attention to itself over time for mostly good reasons. Hence, the game has been able to hold a substantial amount of players steadily logging in each day. But even though the game has been out for a few weeks now, there are still quite a few people sitting on the fence wondering if this game is worth pulling their trigger on. And you can't really blame them, as it's quite unusual for a PvE shooter such as this to blossom out in the way that this game has, so ultimately, everyone becomes unsure if this game can stand the test of time. And this is why it's so interesting to me, because it's not that there aren't any PvE shooters releasing out there, it's just that they aren't as compelling or well defined as Helldivers 2, as this game does many things right, but its newfound success has some glaring challenges down the line if they wish to keep a hold of it. And to be quite frank with you, I'm honestly very happy that it's found such popularity, as it's pretty much a breath of fresh air for the constant barrage of competitive shooters that have been popping out every now and then. And I hope that the Arrowhead studio is able to create something special here, because ultimately it sends a message out there to other studios that PvE shooters like this are still popular if done right. There are numerous variables that go into making a live service game successful, but there are 4 ingredients that stand out from the rest. Number 1 being the gameplay itself, which is honestly straight up just a shot of adrenaline. At its highest difficulty, it keeps you on your toes and offers a decent replayable gameplay loop that can last you for quite a while, honestly, especially when playing with friends. Pair that together with a decent enough player progression, you basically get yourself a Rambo-induced democracy pumping machine whenever you feel the need to spread that liberty and freedom. On the flip side, however, there are stability hiccups every now and then. Even after an update drops, the game just starts acting funny, but since it's entirely casual, you don't really mind having to restart the game if that does occur. Now, this is not a game that's replacing any other main game you might already be playing, because after the first initial 50 to 60 hours, you've practically experienced most of what the game has to offer. After which you log in every day for a mission or two for that sweet adrenaline rush, and then you call it a day. Most of that has to do with how there isn't much to unlock in this game in the long run. So if you're thinking to getting this game and thinking it's gonna be the main game for a while, I'd scratch that thought.
Oh my god. That was awesome.
Number 2, the community, as with every multiplayer game, is very essential, as it decides the overall reputation and vibe of the game. And oh boy, is the community here keeping this game's overzealous democratic spirit alive, which is pretty easily being showcased not only by the vast amount of memes out there, but also seeing how vocal people are to people who threaten to make this game into a competitive mess or build metas. This community takes democracy very seriously, and honestly, I'm all here for it. Now, the third component is a constant stream of content, and let's be honest, this is where it faces its main challenge, and why most people who are either playing the game right now or the people who are on the fence about it are worried, as not only is the studio responsible for this game small, they weren't possibly expecting this amount of success, and have since had a change of plans about the roadmap for this game. But obviously something like this would require a little more time, and if they aren't quick or are too scared to experiment, people will lose interest. And on the flip side, however, if they release an update that breaks the game or makes the game feel more boring, people will react negatively, as can already be seen with a small balance patch note that recently happened with the nerf of the railgun, which honestly I never really cared about because I am an autocannon guy all the way. But it displays how quickly a community that can be showering praise on you can turn on you. Eventually, this led to a small mess with certain Discord mods reacting a little too aggressively to the terrible backlash, which set its own problems. And let's be clear here, no amount of bugs or crashes should ever give anyone the right to give anyone death threats. And honestly, it simply just shows how stupid and vile some people are. And it invalidates the people who actually wish to give good criticism. However, the mod should know better than to throw oil into a fire, but important lessons were learned that day. And one of the mods even apologizes to how they behaved because they were angry at some of the comments that were targeted towards them. Hopefully the mods don't have an outbreak like this again, but these sort of comments should be expected from the community. With any given group, there's always a loud pessimistic bunch. I just hope that the larger community out there that is spreading all that love against all this hate is able to stay strong throughout the future patch notes that are to come, because it would kind of suck if it all goes bad, because I kind of like the Brotherhood right now. The fourth and final element that sadly, at least according to me, is the reason why this game is not able to push through that certain player ceiling is the price. If you look at the stats again, you would notice that this game does pretty terribly during Asian peak times, and this is because the game is priced at 40 USD everywhere on Earth. With it currently priced like that, many players in various parts of the world, especially in the Asian market, where this game would have generally gone for 15 to 20 USD, would have been more open to buying it, and hence, because of the price tag, it doesn't do that well there. But honestly, with how they had a limit to only 400,000 players, which recently just got pushed to 700,000 players, I'm guessing they weren't really wanting or expecting that many players anyway. So the studio probably doesn't mind it as much. But while sales down the line will help, not everyone in the world can just dish out for the USD for a game like that. So they will eventually have to look into this if they wish to expand into future markets, which is always a great idea. But if this game stands against the test of time and can release a healthy amount of content, I think more people will eventually be enticed to get it through sales or otherwise anyway. I do think this game has what it takes to be special, not because of how insanely fun it can be with friends or because of how amazing the community is, but because how the game devs themselves are pretty vocal and stand against all the other people who try to make this game horrible with their own little different things like metas and etc. As someone who doesn't even use the railgun and has done multiple hell dives at max difficulty, honestly, as long as you're smart with how you play, you can completely tackle on all the objectives every single time. In fact, I'd say that the game needs a few more difficulty levels because it's actually surprisingly very easy once you know what to do. And while because of how vocal the devs are, things can go out of hand, it's important to note that everyone is human, and as long as we keep communication civil and constructive, things will keep moving in the right direction. In the end, the future of this game seems good, but a little too distant, because it's safe to say that there won't be any major changes, at least within this year, maybe at the very end of the year. I do expect to see several battle passes within the next few months, including entire different species to fight, etc., etc., but that alone won't be enough. They will need to spice things up, and in various different ways, and it all comes down to efficiency and creativity. And honestly, even if it takes a year for this game to get up on its feet with a proper roadmap, I think it still is pretty amazing and worth it, as no game is ever meant to be played forever, and downtime is always expected and should be expected. What matters is that the content updates that follow are able to entice people to have a peek and be good enough for them to stay a while. That is all from me. I hope you enjoyed the video, in which case I would appreciate it if you would like it, and don't forget to subscribe as it really helps me push forward to make better content. Thank you all for watching. Be kind, be humble, be brave. Take care.